unfortunate time. Like I really would have loved to have you on to talk about round two, but here we are, another first round exit. What was your takeaway from game seven?
You know what? I mean, honestly, I'm not as negative. I thought the Leafs outplayed Boston. I didn't think there was a chance in hell Boston was going to score a goal in the last half of the game. They didn't look like they had any opportunities. The Leafs were in their face, but they had one big blunder, and that was in overtime where they three guys got caught doing nothing. And unfortunately, when it's they get caught doing nothing and the other team's best players got the puck, usually something negative happens.
Gabby, on it was like a tale of two teams almost in the series. I thought their game four, one of their famous no-show stinkers, no effort, no heart, no pushback. They responded with game 5, 6, and 7. It was like they were a different team. They adopted a different mentality almost, and it was a more of a playoff mentality, and they were dominant. What do you think happened in between, game 4 and 5 to go on that 3-game run where I think they dominated the Bruins?
They did dominate them, and they played playoff hockey, quite frankly, and where you're in your face, you're not taking stupid penalties. Games 5, 6, and 7, you didn't see the everybody. Let's go after Marchand and take dumb penalties and let them. When you take bad penalties, usually those are the ones that end up in your net. And Marchand had 8 points in the first 4 games and none in the last 3. They played him as a regular player. He's a good player, but I mean, but they didn't get him so wound up that he was over playing better than maybe what he's capable of. I mean, he didn't score a power play goal in the last 41 games of the regular season until Toronto started taking penalties against him, and then he did it. But you know what? They did what they were supposed to do. They got pucks deep. They didn't allow them over the blue line. And the most important, or the thing that I was the most impressed with, was the Leafs clogging up the middle in their own zone and not letting any shots through. I mean, they blocked everything. They, I mean, you could tell that the players were committed in wanting to win, and that just goes by how much courage you have in blocking shots. And everybody was blocking shots. Like, I was texting during the game, and I probably put the stupid jinx on them, saying that Boston's not getting any chances. They were reminding me of Nashville playing Vancouver in the game 6. There was just no energy to go offensively, and I mean, I was saying the Leafs are a better team. Eventually, they're going to score. Now, Swayman, give him credit, was incredible. I mean, he probably, if you had to give the Conn Smythe away, even though right now he'd be like right up there in the voting. I mean, there's a few guys that would be, but I mean, right now he's right there. But the Leafs seem to find ways to lose when other teams find ways to win. And I think that's the most disappointing thing from it that I took.
Gabby, pardon my French, the fucking power play. 1 for 21. I've been on the record for the last couple of weeks. I want you running this power play, man. I hope it works out. But what did you see? What would you change? Like, what's your overall perspective of what went wrong for this team when it comes to the power play?
Well, I mean, for 5 out of the 7 games, they didn't have their complete power play. I mean, Matthews was missing for 2, Nylander was missing for 3. But I think, when you're playing a team 7 times or potentially 7 times, I mean, it's easy to scout what you're doing on the power play. Now, Boston's very aggressive, and I didn't think the Leafs, I thought they were still trying to be too cute and getting, like, I mean, when you're missing 2 of your best players, we used to call it get back to the bread and butter. Things aren't going well. Get back to your bread and butter, which is shoot the puck and get to the net. And when I've seen the Leafs do really good this year, when they're on fire, they play to the inside of the other teams, and they'll get 4 guys down there instead of the normal 3. They'll shoot pucks, and it's popping out somewhere, but the Leafs are always playing to the inside. And I thought they did a lot of perimeter stuff. I thought they were trying to be too cute. I thought their entries were okay. But I mean, shot volume is where everything happens, because If you don't shoot, then the defensive team stays in the same spots. They don't have to move. They don't have to do anything. But if you shoot pucks and then wherever it goes and you beat the team to the puck, then everything starts. That's when you get them running around. That's when you find open guys. That's when the skill comes through. And I didn't think the Leafs were doing enough of that.
Bruce, guys are taking heat. John Tavares, anyone online that says this team is close, people get laughed right off of their platform. But I mean, when you talk about the injuries, when you talk about Swayman, when you talk about how bad they did dominate them at many points of the series, I'm of the ilk that, like, you know what, that was close. Like, you score a couple of more goals. Like, who could possibly have predicted 1 for 21 on the power play? Of course, they get a Conn Smythe-worthy performance out of the other goaltender. Are you more positive than a lot of other people that want to burn this thing down that they are close and a couple of tweaks could get them to where they want to be?
Well, they certainly, to me, were close to beating the Bruins. I mean, if you're talking about close to winning the Stanley Cup, I think they had a little ways to go yet. I mean, even though Boston came out and they won, 5-1 or in Florida, which I won't be able to really be able to evaluate in my mind until I see how Florida plays in Game 2. But let's face it, the bad luck that occurred against them. I mean, Nylander plays 82 games, then gets migraines, so he misses the first 3. I still don't know what Austin's injury was. I mean, they said he was sick, but then he tweaked something, and I don't know what it was. But Joseph Woll, who looked like he was going to be unbeatable, not saying Samsonov did anything wrong until the last goal, but I mean, he comes down with an injury on what they say was the last play of the game with 0.1 second in a meaningless goal that Boston scored because the game was over. That's a lot of bad luck. That's almost like there is a curse. Like when I was growing up, they would Chum AM used to do a lot, and they'd make up songs, and there was the Leaf Witch that would be putting curses on them or trying to put curses on other teams. And I just think it's almost the curse of the Leafs. But the thing I don't like is we think that the goal is to win a round. The goal is to win 4 rounds. And I mean, everybody, like in the previous year when they won the first round, everybody's going nuts. To me, that's 1 out of 4. I mean, yeah, I'm happy we won. Let's move on. Let's make this understand that this is not our goal. Our goal is to win the cup. And I mean, players are getting older. People are running into the last years of their contract. It's going to be a new look team, I think, a little bit next year. Brad will, after he's seen the team for a year, will get finally know where he thinks that what changes need to be made, what direction they want to go as part of a team, and we'll see a little bit of a different team, I think.
For the record, you've been a massive backer of Mitch Marner, but I think we can all agree here in this conversation it wasn't his best series. He had 3 points in 7 games, 12 shots on goal. Where are you at in the Mitch Marner conversation? Obviously, he's a year away from UFA, and there's a lot of rumblings already that it could be the best for both sides to move on from each other.
Well, I have no idea, quite frankly, but let's face it. I mean, come July 1, they're going to have to sign him before then if they want to keep him. And Mitch is probably going to want 8 years, is my guess. And he's going to want north of 10 million. He's going to probably want the 11 million plus. And can the Leafs afford that? I don't know if they can afford it or if they want to go in that same direction. They've got a couple with Ethan Cowan coming up, but he's only 18. He's going to be a couple years yet. Matthew Nyes took great strides, but if they're going to change the makeup of the team, I think somebody has to go. He seems to be the logical guy, what everybody's saying, even though I think he's an unbelievably outstanding player. It's if they're going to make any changes, I mean, it just seems like if they're going to do something that really hits home and change the concept of the team, he would be the guy that would be moved, I would think.
Bruce, a saying goes that coaches are hired to be fired. It seems like nobody coaches the same team forever. Eventually everybody gets fired. So if that is the case for Sheldon Keefe, whether it is or not, what's going on at this point in time in the season, behind the scenes? What's a coach doing? Who's he talking to? Waiting for the axe to fall? Or what's the whole background like there?
Well, it's actually interesting. The coaches probably already had meetings with management, and management, they said they're talking on Friday. So, I mean, we'll see what happens between now and then. They'll either give them a vote of confidence that we're keeping them, or they will have already made the move if they're not. I mean, the NHL is about winning, and it's not a development league. So, I mean, and in that market, it's and I think Sheldon's done a wonderful job with the team. And you look at his numbers with the over the last 5 years since he took over from Babcock. I mean, is the winning percentages and everything else. But I mean, sometimes you just make a change. I don't know which way they're thinking, but I mean. They've been calling for it every year that the Leafs don't get out of the first round. This might be the year that they make the move. Either way, he's going to get another job somewhere quick, I would think. But sometimes you just have to go a different direction when things aren't working well. Or you're
Gabby, finally, great question in the chat. Someone asked, who's responsible for the OT goal from a coach's perspective? Like, what was your breakdown? Was it just circumstantial where a guy like Pasternak made an unbelievable play?
No, he didn't make an unbelievable play. His unbelievable play, quite frankly, was pointing to Hampus Lindholm and telling him to shoot the puck off the end boards, because he had way more speed than Marner, who was coming off the bench, and that was his man. And usually what happens is when he's their man, then the defense can stand up and the forward picks up the puck because he's playing in front of him coming back. But with him being flat-footed, Morgan Rielly was definitely flat-footed. I don't know what he was doing in the middle of the ice, quite frankly. He was stopped. He was like, Hampus wasn't a threat to come through the middle. He passed that puck from the red line, and then I think it caught Samsonov sleeping because the puck went right through his crease, and he stayed deep in the crease and allowed Pasternak to get the puck and make the move. So I mean, I'm looking at all three of those guys. I mean, I could take it further. I haven't looked at it whether he was challenged at the red line to dump it in, or he just saw the opening when it went D to D, I think, and then he came up, but nobody challenged him on the dump in at all, which would have made it more difficult to get a clean play like that. And like I always talk about, cross corner dumps are only good if it's a play, and because if it's not a play and you just do cross corner dumps, the opposing team or the defensive team is going to pick the puck up all the time because they're going to be in front of the forward coming back. But everybody was sort of caught looking and watching, and the only one going was Pasternak, and he got the puck. And when you give a guy that talent open opportunities, he's going to put it in the back of the net.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.